In lieu of a lot of live sports over the next 2 days, we are going to talk some football because today, Wednesday, July 17th, 2024, the first true veterans show up to training camp in the National Football League. The Texans send their rookies and their vets to training camp today. A couple more rookies join the show. We had 8 teams send their rookies yesterday. The Baltimore Ravens on Saturday. The quarterbacks, as Donnie alluded to, all show up as well. It is time for football. Yesterday, one of the 8 teams that sent their rookies, the San Francisco 49ers. In a rather peculiar offseason at the wide receiver spot for San Fran, they take Ricky Pearsall out of Florida with the second to last pick of the opening round. Pearsall placed on the non-football related IL of sorts to start off camp. That was interesting, which leads to our next point about Brandon Aiyuk. I guess it is the first time, although it feels like the 7th, 8th, or 9th time, that Brandon Aiyuk has officially demanded a trade from the San Francisco 49ers. The reason it feels like the 9th time, and that this is not really a new and breaking news update, DRS, is because Brandon Aiyuk has not been happy with his contract situation with San Francisco all offseason long.
No, he hasn't. And the interesting part about this is, too, this is not a rare phenomenon with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, last year you saw Bosa real late getting to camp, got a monster contract. We always thought that was going to get done. The interesting one the year before was the Deebo Samuels deal. But Deebo Samuels is an awesome wide receiver, can do it all, an intricate part of that offense for Kyle Shanahan. But we were led to believe that it wasn't even about the money. It was like he wasn't happy being on the 49ers when the 49ers always get him the football. And don't you remember some of those clauses like, well, if I sign this deal, you're not handing the football off to me more than one time a game. It was really interesting. And basically we heard San Francisco, the upper management was like, here's a blank check, Deebo. Fill it out. What do you want? Come in here happy. And it all turned out okay. Now we're finding out Brandon Aiyuk, we don't know if this is a money issue or if this is just a disrespect issue at this point. Now, granted, anytime a player wants a new contract, it's typically about the money. He's going to make $14 million next year, but after that, you don't really have that basis where if you hurt yourself, that's going to cost you a lot of money in the future. But my question is, what is he actually asking for? Because we haven't seen anything with those leaks from either the team and or the agent go, well, he's not asking for Justin Jefferson money, but he wants more money than A.J. Brown. You know what I mean? In that range. We know he wants to be a high-paid receiver, and quite frankly, he deserves to be that. It's interesting how it's gone this long with this much animosity, because typically you negotiate behind the scenes, and if you see at the end of the tunnel there's a light where you're like, okay, I think this is going to get done. But you're right, Ben, it feels like from the day the Super Bowl ended, Brandon Aiyuk has been furious with the 49ers and repeatedly going on social media and making it known he wants out. And the 49ers are going I don't care if you want out, you're staying here and you'll be happy with your $14 million. They got a week to get this done before it actually shows up to camp and really can get out of control.
6 days in Santa Clara. Next Wednesday is when the San Francisco 49ers send all of their veterans to training camp. Brandon Aiyuk has kind of taken to social media to heighten the drama this offseason in the least subtle way possible. He has talked to his former Arizona State quarterback, Jaden Daniels, now in his rookie year with the Washington Commanders, of course. There was a video shared out with his film crew behind the scenes of Aiyuk talking to Daniels and saying San Francisco doesn't want me anymore, so on and so forth. He has looked at what other teams do offensively and said, wow, that could be cool for me. All of this to say, though, Adam Schefter of ESPN reporting that other teams have reached out and spoken to San Fran, but they have been told the 49ers have no intention of trading the disgruntled wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk, who officially, of course, requested a trade. I don't think they want to trade him. I wonder what his trade market would be. But the fascinating thing, DRS, Brandon Aiyuk, first-round pick in 2020. That wide receiver class is getting paid this offseason, at least we would seem to believe. Justin Jefferson, a member of that class. T. Higgins taken in the second round, and CeeDee Lamb, a first-round pick as well, slated, we would believe, to get his contract extension this offseason as well, although they only have a week really for the Dallas Cowboys to get that done. Brandon Aiyuk probably doesn't come to mind when you think about top 10 receivers in the National Football League, but last year, 75 grabs, 1,342 yards, a career best, and 7 touchdowns. Second team AP All-Pro a year ago. 2022, 78 grabs, 1,015 yards, 8 touchdowns. Both the grabs and the touchdowns, career best as well. The reason we highlight the last 2 years, both over 1,000, but Brock Purdy was his quarterback for a good majority of it. You would think that Brandon Aiyuk has been that top target for Brock Purdy. They would want to keep him there in San Francisco, and yet a new payday has not hit the wire, at least as of yet.
Yeah, he fits perfectly in that offense. I mean, Debo's that short to intermediate route guy that can take it the distance. Aiyuk is that perfect route runner that can get deep and run those long distance routes. You know, Kittle, CMC in the backfield, everything works just so well with them. You'd hate to see him leave, but also keep in mind, like, you go back and sometimes you date yourself 20 years ago. If you remember, Terrell Owens going to camp, all he wanted was a guarantee out of the Philadelphia Eagles for one season that you guaranteed my money. And Joe Banner, of course, who the Eagles probably should have multiple Super Bowls. He was the general manager, never wanted to pay anybody, and you saw how that went. T.O. gets thrown out of training camp, comes back, actually has a decent half of the season. Then the Eagles basically tell him to go home. We never want to see again. Now, we don't think it's going to get to that level, but understand the point I'm trying to make here. And you guys out here, whether you sit at a cubicle all day, you're in a high rise, whatever you're doing for your job, you want to show up at your workplace with effort, and you want to know that you're wanted there and you want to be there. We can tell right away the people that are mailing it in. And you say to yourself, well, Don, how could you mail in making $14 million a year? They live a different life, professional athletes. He's probably showing up to the building every day with animosity. You don't want that. The minute he signs a brand new deal, he's going to show reinvigorated, like, I'm ready to go. Thank goodness this guy get gone. Every day he shows up, he's going to be angry. You don't want that out of your best players. Specifically, it's one thing, like, it's like, you know what? You're a great wide receiver. We're projected to win 4 games this year. With or without you, it doesn't matter. Let's let the animosity go. The Niners are pushing all in for a Super Bowl this year. Why would you go into the season either A, trading him, or having him be unhappy? It just doesn't make, dollars make sense. This makes no sense here.
The San Francisco 49ers at a 6-1 price are co-favorites to win Super Bowl 59 with the team that has beaten them in 2 of the last 5 Super Bowls. That's the Kansas City Chiefs. They are the very short favorites in what is considered the weaker of the 2 conferences in the NFC to at least get back to a Super Bowl appearance in New Orleans this upcoming season. And Brandon Aiyuk, whether you believe that he is or not, plays a significant role in all of that offensively for Kyle Shanahan. There are 4 wide receivers in the National Football League DRS that make $30 million or more on an annual average basis entering this year. Justin Jefferson, $35 million. A.J. Brown, about $32 million. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a little bit more than $30 million. And Tyreek Hill at $30 million. Jalen Waddle, top 5 paid, $28.25 million per year. About to enter year number 4, signing that big contract extension earlier this offseason. Is the 5th highest paid wide receiver. You might ask, and it's a true statement because we are talking about so many millions of dollars. How could anybody be disgruntled making $14 million per year? It's all about relative value. Whether you agree or not, it is what the market dictates, and that is the case with where these salaries and paydays and contract extensions are going in the National Football League, really regardless of position, but at least as of late at the quarterback and wide receiver spot.
And it's not getting any better. And the reason I say this is Tyreek Hill is going to come up for a contract. He might even get it before training camp. CeeDee Lamb is going to get his because the whole thing's like, well, Justin Jefferson's deal came out. That upset the apple cart. You should have had him signed already. It's why A.J. Brown is signed. It's why, like, Davante Smith here in Philadelphia is signed because they were happy with the money at that time. Every time a new player comes into the equation and signs for even more money, Brandon Aiyuk is not going to take a discount at that point. It's only costing you money. You could have wrapped this up in March and saved a ton of money and a ton of acrimony off the field, but instead you let this slide. Now one of your best players in a Super Bowl year for what you think is going to be angry coming into camp and doesn't want to be there.
We have more wide receiver news around the NFL. Will Davante Adams be a Raider or maybe a Jet? We'll talk about it up next here on the Early Line. NFL news and notes bright and early on this Wednesday morning on the Early Line on SportsGrid. Because Aaron Rodgers always has drama surrounding him. At the American Century Championship, the amateur golf event in Lake Tahoe last weekend, Aaron Rodgers made some sort of reference that he's talked to Davante Adams, his longtime number 1 target in Green Bay, about potentially reuniting in the NFL. It has led to Davante Adams maybe being in trade speculation. This from Adams' agents Kenny Chapman and Frank Bauer regarding the recent trade talk surrounding their client to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Quote, this is baseless, unfounded speculation, and Davante is expected to be with the Raiders as there has been absolutely no trade talk, period, end quote. Donnie, do you buy it? Will Davante Adams be in Las Vegas all 2024 NFL season long?
That's a good question, too, because right now, I think, obviously, in Las Vegas, and also let's go back to what actually happened in his career. He was an absolutely filthy, dominant wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers with a quarterback who loved his wide receiver, where he would just, like the other side of the field, double coverage here. Oh, triple coverage with Davante. Woo! You only live once. Let me throw it up to you. He had the perfect storm as a wide receiver and was getting paid well. I thought it was interesting that he demanded the trade to go to Las Vegas, but when you figured, I'm going to live in Green Bay, I'm going to live in Las Vegas, my college roommate here, a teammate, I can't wait to get back up with it. Then they sort of pulled the rug out from under him. And it's not so much about sometimes as a top wide receiver. Okay, well, I still went here. My favorite quarterback who I came here for, he's gone, but I got an unbelievable quarterback, which you don't have now. And there's no Super Bowl aspirations for the Vegas Raiders at this point right now. Right. So now you could figure that you might be able to pry him loose. But your question is valid. Like right now, I don't think he cares. But let's just say the Raiders are 1-6. Getting bad quarterback play, that is going to absolutely ramp up at the trade deadline because you're in a spot where, yes, wide receivers, there's two things they want, Ben. Forget, and quite frankly, winning probably way down on the ladder, which sounds crazy. They want to get paid, but they also want to have productivity. Like, that's the whole key. Like, and also, like, just say Justin Jefferson, right? We think he's going to have a rookie quarterback. Oh, he got paid. He's going to be happy. Trust me when I tell you this. He can make all the money in the world, but when his boys are catching 50 to 60 to 70 passes midway through the season and he's at 24, he's not going to be like, well, my bank account is fat. He's going to be furious. That's the way wide receivers operate. But I don't know how this even gets started where Aaron Rodgers is like, I have an unbelievably talented wide receiver room with great young players, and I'm making comments like I still need another all-pro wide receiver because I don't like the wide receivers that I currently have, which basically he's handpicking just about every one of them. So for my money, I do think there's a really good chance that Davante Adams is out of Las Vegas midway through the season just because the productivity isn't there. And quite frankly, he was sold a bill of goods where I'm going to go play with my teammate for 3 to 4 years. We're going to do a lot of damage. And it happened quick, and they moved him out of town. Usually superstar players get upset by that. Like, hey, I came here to play with this guy. You shipped him out. What's the deal?
One of the worst beats of all time for Davante Adams. Wanted to reunite with his college best friend and quarterback from their Fresno State days in Derek Carr, who had been a lifelong Raider and probably everybody thought would be a lifelong Raider throughout the duration of his NFL career. They ship him after benching him at the end of 2022. But even last year, with the rotating cast and crew at the QB spot, Jimmy Garoppolo to start, of course, Aiden O'Connell after that, Davante played in all 17 games, still had more than 1,100 receiving yards and 8 receiving touchdowns. His first year in Vegas, he had more than 1,400 yards, led all of the NFL with 14 receiving touchdowns, was an AP All-Pro first-teamer in the NFL. He's had success in terms of production statistically in Las Vegas, but the Raiders, not so much. 6.5 the win total for Las Vegas. The over does have the juice. They have that buy-in and belief in their new head coach, Antonio Pierce. Contract news yesterday. What was expected is now done. As the Bears send their rookies to training camp, their 2 first-round picks, first overall, Caleb Williams, 9th overall, Odunze, they have finally signed the dotted line. It was a little bit murky. They were unsigned entering the opening day of training camp yesterday, but Caleb Williams, that 4-year, fully guaranteed contract worth $39 million, that includes a $25.5 million signing bonus. Caleb Williams is officially signed. He is the face of the franchise in the Windy City.
Yeah, the fine print, and sometimes that's what it just comes down to, where you're arguing over like that 4th or 5th season. If I'm a really bad quarterback and you get rid of me, are all my guarantees going to be in line? So that's probably just waiting for the lawyers to get back out of it. We didn't anticipate us or them having any issues here. In the past, This is what that slotted system in the NFL is now doing in round number 1. You know exactly what you're supposed to make here. There's very few details that have to be ironed out, as opposed to in the past, hey, I'm going to ask for $300 million in a guaranteed contract. Then it could get a little bit tricky at that point. But we expect him to be in camp. He's in camp. No more restrictions on, I wonder if he's going to show up. He's there. It's ready to go for the Bears. Same thing with Rome Odunze. Get that out of the way. Get to training camp. Get to work.
I think it was more speculation. It was a slightly strange scenario because Caleb Williams, who has had interesting people represent him throughout his time, and weird reports have come out about what his father and other representatives have said about what his desires are individually in the National Football League. He wasn't represented and is not currently by an NFLPA agent, which means the Bears can only speak to the individual that is Caleb Williams, even if it's a lawyer that is technically using a Caleb Williams email to have those contract negotiations. But it's done. He is signed. Same with Rome Odunze. Only 3 of the first-round selections from 2024 have not signed, both in Minneapolis. J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback, Dallas Turner, the edge rusher out of Alabama, and the big O-lineman out of Georgia, Amarius Mims, who was taken 18th overall by the Bengals. As those rooks start to show up, I would expect the dotted line to be inked as well. Caleb Williams is the short favorite to win the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year award at plus 140, more than $5 in front of the number 2 overall selection, Jaden Daniels, at plus 650. Donnie, if you had to bet, if I gave you Caleb Williams at plus 140 or anybody else, what would you take?
It's Caleb Williams easy in this point because he's supposed to put up the big numbers. They're supposed to be a much better football team with a legitimate chance to make the playoffs. That would be easy. But by the way, did you tell me there's still a couple people left out there and one of those players is a Bengals player? Did I hear that correctly?
Correct, yes.
The way they negotiate is wild. Like I think it was Andre Smith, the tackle out of Alabama, maybe more than a decade ago, got drafted in the top 10. Like, yeah, we don't think you're a top 10 player. We want to play you like you're the 15th overall pick. What is with that franchise, man? Handle your business. Pay your players over there.